each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
So is Mother Earth angry at her inhabitants? No, not at all. She loves everyone out there. And that's some of that, light worker crap that was created in 2011, that Earth is going to die and she hates everyone. No, that's all bullshit. It's a 12th density being that is more than capable of handling us little beings. She is trying to nurture us at a 3rd density level, and we aren't capable of understanding the amount of love that she has. That's why healing ourselves individually now is the greatest thing that we can do for this planet, because it creates even more potential for her to change everything that's in her reality.
We're going to move on to the next caller. Our next caller is Susan. Where are you calling from, Susan?
Hi, I'm from Idaho.
Welcome to the show. What kind of questions do you want to start with?
Well, I'm really interested in my connection with my daughter. It's just like a very unique energy that we have together, and I just kind of want to start off with that.
Okay. Kathy, you want to start with your impression first?
I see that there's a very strong connection between you. I'd say you don't always get along or see eye to eye, but the connection is very strong. I would say probably throughout the times you've sought each other out just to challenge each other and swap ideas, and interesting relationship. I'd say at the moment when I look at your relationship, things don't seem as smooth as they could be. But I think one of the things that both of you need to do is step back a bit and think about what the other has said, but think about it more clearly, because I think both of you are not listening to each other, which is always a tough place to be in.
Okay.
So I have a question for you about your daughter.
Yeah.
When's the last time you had an argument with her?
Like never. I mean, we get along super. Like that was kind of where I was going. I was thinking we had probably many lives together, and
I'll get into that in just a second. I'll get that in just a second. But I'm asking you, I've never had an argument with her. How old is she?
She's 35.
Okay. In 35 years, a mother's never had an argument with a daughter.
I mean, I just can't remember. I mean, it'd be like probably as a teenager or something. So.
Okay. What that is you're both letting go of the energies right away of whatever debates or arguments that are already there, and you're connected in the dream world to resolve those things. Okay? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to your past lives with your daughter, you've had dozens and dozens and dozens of them. But these were lives what I will simply call is in the reincarnation grid. One of these lifetimes that steps out to help you understand is you were both living in, I want to call it southern Turkey, maybe right on the Syrian border, and you were olive tree farmers. And you were the father of the family, the head of the family, and she was the first son that was going to be taking over. And this would have been about 300 A.D., and it came to a point where the father, you, was very, very sick, and the son went to go take over the orchards and stuff, and he wanted to sell part of it and marry off one of the daughters, and you began this long process of saying, I'm still the father even though you were on your deathbed, and ultimately he sold the daughter to someone else and broke up the family, and you died in a scenario where the family was broken up, and then the next lifetime you were in the scenario where you broke up the family. Do you understand that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we've had a lot of family divorces and then, blended families. That's kind of our family cycle right now. So
family cycle, and that's just being repeated. But the two of you have also made a choice at a higher soul level to go through this reincarnation grid, but to also have full life reviews when you are done, to not fall into the false light between the two of you. That's why the other family members that are coming and going in this mixed relationship, they haven't finished their reincarnation grid, when in fact both you and your daughter are out of reincarnation and are fully incarnating, fully aware of what it is that you can do. And both of you have to make choices at some point to, I'll just simply say, come together in a different format that isn't family related, but is more business related, so you can take your particular talents and her particular talents out to the marketplace.
That's super. Thank you. That's awesome. So
Go
ahead.
What's your next question I was going to ask?
Okay, I feel like I'm retired, and so I've done all my material security things. I'm kind of reinventing myself, so to speak. So I've always been really, really interested in synchronistic events, and it's almost like I'm really opening up to that area, and I'm wanting to do work with the earth and doing ceremonies in different places and so on. So I'm wondering if you see that's a possibility.
Have you ever learned muscle testing?
No.
So here are two things that you can learn to assist yourself about doing grid work. And one of the first things is muscle testing and then pendulum work. When you learn muscle testing, you are going to get a whole new layer of personal discernment when it comes to the energy of a place. So let's say you come up to an intersection that's got some just weird energies there, and when you learn muscle testing, you can make yes and no questions, determine if you should be changing the energy, if you should interact with it, a group of test questions so you can use your personal discernment. So if you're going to do a ceremony or a ritual or just meditate at that area because there's a buildup of good or bad or neutral energy there. And then the pendulum is so that you grab a map of your area and you use your higher self in the same style of muscle testing to figure out where in your area you need to visit.
Cool.
Those are the baby steps you take. The third step is going and learning something like dowsing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You get those three skill sets, you will be able to do rituals and ceremonies in any place that you want to do. And you'll have this inner guidance that helps you understand, should it be a small ritual, a big ritual? Do I need to bring other people there?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it'll also give you a very positive chance at preventing entities from jumping on you.
Okay. Because I've kind of been doing this all my life. Whenever I would just plan a trip or something, I would find a neat place and go just do something. I felt like it felt natural to do this, but to kind of have a plan and a way to, where do I go next, I think that would be really helpful.
Right. And muscle testing, dowsing, and pendulum work gives you that reference frequency that you need, that internal discernment frequency.
Okay.
And everyday tools that you can use without looking too obvious in case there are people around and you don't want to draw attraction to yourself.
Okay.
What about fire ceremonies? Do you do them too?
Do I do what?
Fire ceremonies?
Fire, yes, I've done that. Uh-huh. Yeah, and I continue to do them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you I look at fire ceremony and your energy, and they're that merge. I'd imagine you feel absolutely fantastic after them.
Absolutely. I've always loved fire.
In a good way.
In a good way, yes, in a good way. In fact, our whole state is on fire right now. Anyway.
So here's another little technique that you can use. There are these little things called sterno. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Things? Okay. So I want you to get one or two of those in a pot that you can take out into the middle of nowhere in a little stand, and you put the sterno underneath it. And I want you to just meditate over that sterno in the water that's beginning to boil in the middle of nowhere. This is going to give you steam energy, and steam combined with fire and ceremony is spiritual locomotion.
Okay.
This will help you get your your juice is flowing, really flowing, so that you can begin to absorb a tremendous amount of natural earth energy.
Okay.
And you need that now. You need that earth nurturing energy.
So I've been really like on a hot springs quest, and I've been doing a lot of those lately. Is that kind of the same concept? Because I'm kind of seeking out.
Bigger scale.
Okay.
When you go to the hot springs, you get that steam energy, but you'll use it up very fast.
Okay.
That's why having that outdoor process where the water is boiling and you got those little sterno things down there that you can put a whole bunch of prayers in before you open them up and light them.
Okay. Cool.
What other kind of questions you want to ask?
All right. So when I started on my pretty much awakening journey, this was in 1998, I was working in a nursing home with demented people. And I went in to see one of my patients, and he had dementia, and he all of a sudden started speaking to me very coherently about spiritual things. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I listened to your solstice.
Mm-hmm.
No, the equinox, excuse me. The equinox. I did both, but equinox. Mm-hmm. And you spoke of he who shall not be named.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, he was in his 80s, and he was a former Mormon missionary type guy. But his physical name was that.
Mm-hmm.
Was he? And so I just made this connection and kind of went down the road of exploring what was that name all about, and because he touched me before he died, and I felt like an energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this ability to, when I closed my eyes, I could see like kind of like electricity, like black light,
mm-hmm.
And it would sometimes form into objects. But I could never figure out what it was for. I do it all the time. I can close my eyes, and now it changes to different colors, but at first it was just changing black light into different shapes. But so I could never, no one's ever been able to tell me what this experience was about. And I did awaken. I mean, I've, had a long, hard journey, but I was kind of scared after
You experience what I call the ultra-white frequency or the ultraviolet frequency, and it's something that's separate than our 7-color experiencing time. This is when the ancestors of many thousands of previous generations that never perceived our 7 future generations of now made a choice to connect the DNA lineages in the ultraviolet frequency so that particular skill sets could be passed directly to your light body. So literally what happened when he passed on and touched you there is he passed on skills to you, skills that were in his DNA lineage and were never passed on to someone in his lifetime, because you were related to him as a soul in another time frequency before you were ever living on Earth. And when it comes to the Merlin name, he is both good and bad and neutral. And in that scenario, it was the good frequency of the Merlin DNA lineage that was being passed on to you, the ability to access the ultraviolet frequencies so that you can program a light body and not cause harm to it.
So is that useful now?
Absolutely. It gives you...
And what am I supposed to do?
Well, that's going to be your personal choice what you do with it. Everything is personal choice now. You have the ability to become a medium. I've worked in nursing homes, and I've had my grandmother with Alzheimer's and dementia, and I've seen her go back to in this incredible spiritual form or a 6-year-old kid for days in a row. In your scenario, when you assisted that person passing on, you finished a very ancient karmic contract with the planet by being a protector of Death's Door.
That makes sense.
You can now become a medium, a person that can assist people that are going to be crossing over, or people that are in their final stage of life, where you can use this ultra-white light energy and pass it on to them so that they can have moments of golden tubes of protection during their own life review that happens this instant before they die.
So I have worked for 20 years in the end-of-life
You know
industry,
every aspect of it. You know
but I
every
didn't,
aspect of it.
yeah, but I didn't practice outwardly. It was all, just within myself. I'd be like, I know I need to see this person, and there may not have ever been a conversation, but I would kind of like know where to go, and so I can't really say it was an outward manifestation, but there was something working. But anyway, I retired from that because I got really burnt out. I guess I wasn't doing enough spiritual hygiene, and I ended up
you completed your
kind
contract.
of burning out. Oh, okay.
You completed your contract.
Oh, okay.
So, Kathy, I want to bring you in here and to talk about spiritless for a second.
Well, when you were describing what you saw, the lights and then the color, to me the first thing I see, it's like a map. I mean, it's not a clear map for you, but it's an energetic map that you suddenly had access to, and it's wakening things up in your head, in your mind, in your soul, in your energy. Whether he passed on a map of forms to you, or you just were in his energy enough to have it absorbed in your soul, who knows? But with that colors as well, I think that it's almost like you were getting certain skills from all that energy. And the lights, to me, are a map. They're a guideline. Maybe your conscious mind can't interpret it very well, but certainly your within has interpreted it well. I would imagine after that, the following few months, you must have felt kind of energized, but a bit confused because you didn't change your diet, you didn't do more exercise, yet suddenly you feel more awake and but physically energized. And to me, when I look at that energy, I think it's really exciting because you're opening yourself up to all these kind of things, and you're now much more aware of energies around you. And when we talk about spirit energy, it's like you can detect things much clearer and define them without anyone explaining it to you. And you just, in your mind, you would think, oh, it's so natural that I can, know someone needs to see me, or I need to help them with something or other, or bring them closer to water to have a look, to calm them. All these things are come to you easier because that mind map is now open, and you just access information and inclinations, what you think is just willy-nilly, but in actual fact, it's because your mind is just absorbing everything around you. And if spirit wants to contact you, you'll just know it. You won't know why you know it. You'll just know it.
That's definitely what's going on. So one of my other questions was, I get foreknowledge of things, but I really don't know what to do with it. I mean, it's like, okay, well, I heard that one before, when the event happens or whatever. So I don't. I mean,
sometimes
it's like
sometimes you don't need to do anything with it. You can just see it. You're an observer. Because you're so open, you just see things. In that sense, your psychic awareness is very strong. And although it's great to have it, sometimes, in a way, it's a bit of a curse because you do know things that are going to come up. But whether you told someone or didn't tell them, it was, it's not going to make any difference. It's almost like you're just sitting there silently observing. And in your own heart, you will know if you need to say something or don't say something.
Okay.
And if you think it's too weird to explain to people, you can always just say, I just have a funny feeling. I mean, you don't have to describe in great detail why you think something, because usually people aren't curious enough to ask you. They'll just take it as an opinion as opposed to something that you think you saw or know.
So I've had a little fear of pursuing this or making it a priority in my life because I know the dark side of being someone who can tell, and so I've almost suppressed it because I'm just,
I fully understand.
it's like a drug that can draw you into being powerful or something, and so that's been my hesitation to pay too much attention to it. So
I'll share with you part of my experience. Recently, there was this big explosion in Tianjin, China, And I
Yep.
knew about it ahead of time. I didn't say anything. There was no point. And when you look into the darkness looks back at you, and that's what you're hesitating about. You don't want darkness to look back at you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Just
Yeah.
because you know something doesn't mean you need to say anything about it. When
Okay.
you are going to be using these skill sets, you must understand what scale you're working at. So you want to tell your body, your mind, and your spirit, the scale at what I want to work at is those people that are around me. And if any visions or omens that come to me, it's to assist the people around me to make sure nurturing is there for them and love is there for them. If I am to have an omen, it is for a person that is out of love and needs love. You can define the skill set. And that's where you're at. You experienced death so many times and seen so many people at their end of the life that never completed their bucket list. You can redirect the skill so if people come to you or you decide to start using it to assist your friends and your family, that there is a much more human level, not this deep scale such as Tanjin China, where you can help your next door neighbor who's having a girlfriend or a boyfriend problem simply by using your intuition and your omens, where you can say, hey, there's something going on and you need to pay attention to your child or something to that effect. Redirecting the scale at which you work.
Okay. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we got time for one more question.
Okay, so I kind of connecting the two things together. I went camping recently to the place where, do you know where the media moguls all meet in Sun Valley every year?
Yes.
Okay, I go camping right after it's over, and I drive into the city, and it feels really, really, really dense. And usually it's a very beautiful place to go. So I'm like, okay, I forgot about this convention that they always have, and I went to the wilderness, and I always do ceremony when I'm out in the wilderness. So I did the contract revocations, and I got really angry that the energy was so dense in this beautiful place. I was like, oh, I just really am mad, and so I got out my I do not consent, blah, 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 and went over and over, I do not consent to this and this and this. And then I kept going on and on about your services are no longer needed, and I just named all these things, and ended up being in a cave part of the time, and just felt like I was working with the energy in a pretty deep way. But when I got back to camp, these F-16s just did a really low flyby right over our camp. So I was just kind of wanting to share that, and I mean, it didn't scare me, but I just like,
it was
wow.
synchronistic. It was synchronistic.
I mean, I'm not scared.
Right. It's synchronicity. You see, in one of the last callers we had last week, we had a similar situation where they were doing tremendous grid work on a womb chakra, and then helicopters appeared and buzzed them, and all the helicopters saw was two old ladies doing yoga. And in this scenario, were the airplanes directed there to look for you? No. They came there through synchronicity because you had created such an energetic change that the system had to show that it still had power.
Yes, that's the message I got, and I just gave him the middle finger and went along my way, went along my camping way, and I was really happy because of your work and helping me with my parasympathetic that I've just been able to calm myself down in these scenarios that I used to really, really spin out because I just get all amped up on my adrenaline. But I really appreciate all the help, and I don't know what else to say except thank you so much. And
you are so welcome, and we are glad to have you calling. And your call is going to help a lot of other people that are out there too.
All right. So there are a bunch of places that fit your soul's signature frequency. Now, there's no hierarchical order to what I'm saying. I'm just, as I'm observing the world and creating a comparison and contrast to of exactly where you're at and what has the best ancestral path for you to get there, and as well as an ancestral foundation for your best form of expansion this lifetime. So Louisiana is one of them.
Really?
Yes.
I would not think that. I feel like my energy is just being drained here, and there's no give back.
It is like that, but you're not tuned into the land.
I see.
Believe it or not. The land has changed so much, you're still thinking it has the same energy from 20 or 30 years ago, but it doesn't.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that is because it is a ever-changing reality there. So that area shouldn't have cities on it like the way it does now. Okay? It should have very sparse populations, and those sparse populations would be the highest end shamans who would then venture to specific areas to draw specific energies out of that area and then to use them for magical effects. So that's kind of why that area is so hard for you to figure out its multidimensional puzzle.
It's gotta be. I've been struggling with that for all my life.
Yeah. So let's put it this way. Wherever there is a bayou or a river, you would do well at.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there because we're going to grab on that because that was another question. Okay, so I live right next to a large lake, which is called Lake Pontchartrain. It has the longest bridge in the world running over it, and it spills into a bayou, a swamp, and that is where I grew up. Is next to the lake and the swamp.
Right. And you have been feeling all the negative energies that have been held in the swamp for the last 300 years, even back when the French were there. And before the French, there were a bunch of natives there that did light and dark, and it's all mixed into one, and this giant bog that's got pollution and got sharks and all this other crap in it. It's really an interesting place to live.
Unless you live here.
Now, you can get the exact same thing in a river in Thailand, except their sharks are different and they might have squid.
Oh, God, I need to fix this freaking land. Oh, it is so confusing and
yes,
to my energy and just so draining. It's been like that always, but now you've explained why.
Right. Now, the bayou is what stores old frequencies of time. And it was the shaman's duty to travel the bayou in looking for the old negative energies that were bubbling to the surface on a full moon and to grab some of it and brew it into an alcohol and burn it off so that it had a way out.
Interesting.
It wasn't about consuming the alcohol. It was using it as spirits. And they could go and grab, like they would see how the swamp bubbles in certain areas, and they would read the bubbles saying that they know that energy from the 1400s is coming up when people were murdered here. So they would gather that energy, brew it into the alcohol, and then burn it off. And it was what the manifest shaman would do to stop that energy or to alchemize that energy into something different. This is something I will push the limits on and explain to you because you've lived there your whole life.
And so what is kind of the history around this lake and swamp where I'm at? Is there anything I need to be aware of? Any artifacts, technologies hidden in these?
Thousands and thousands of things hidden there. Pocket dimensions with inside pocket dimensions, portals and gateways to different eras of time, rifts that randomly open and close. Yeah, all that stuff is there.
How do I access any of that? Or maybe I guess I shouldn't. I'm pretty...
It accesses you all the time in your... because you were born there, and you're unaware of how much it accesses you. It is like the system but it's its own system. Now, the system itself tries to interact with the swamp and the bayou by having its people live around it and dump its crap in it. But it's the bayou that's actually running the system by surviving and interacting and creating an area where the mystical and the can happen at the same time.
Oh my god.
Now, bayou shamaning is a whole different form of shamaning. Now, you're asking some of the history there. So it's the bayou shamans, who are an accumulation of hundreds of different tribes shamans who would be sent kind of like in the metaphorical. Do you ever watch what's the name of the show? The one with the dragons.
How to Train Your Dragon?
No, Game of Thrones.
Oh, right, okay, Game of Thrones.
So the wall, the ice wall in Game of Thrones.
Sure.
That is what these indigenous tribes in North America would send. Everyone would send a shaman there every generation.
Oh God! So they're basically like the watch on the tower.
Now, when the French came in and f***ed everything up and killed most of the watch, a whole bunch of shit got out.
Oh my God!
And French esoteric organizations came in and put all the prisoners back in the jail. Well, not all of them, but a good portion of them. And then, them being French, they left the keys and they got out again.
And it's funny, you know, when I watch Game of Thrones, what do I feel most connected to? The Night Watch that's on the wall. That's constantly being overran by other things on the other side of the wall. Well, that makes sense. The small little things that make sense, that put it all together.
Put the final puzzle piece together. Oh, ha, that's what this place is like.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, hell.
A little bit more. You were asking about Lake Pontchartrain itself. All right, so I got a few beings watching me as to determining how I'm gonna.
Oh, Jesus! I had a feeling that would be a problem.
No. I enjoy these moments because it's all about how sacred neutral I can be. It's not that they don't want me to do it. I at times conjugate so well that they're like, holy shit, you did it. So in 1602 AD, there was a incident on the lake that was witnessed by all the nobility that were there for a big wedding. Let's just call it that. And a beam of light came out of the lake and created, let's just say, 500 rainbows that stretched into every direction.
Wow.
And it pulsated this incredible, powerful energy to all the different directions. And the owners of this world, or the supposed owners of this world, went, hey, what the happened there? And they instantly teleported into there as the rainbows were appearing because they couldn't do it when it was in its full power. They thought that the local French people and the Bayou people did it, and they really didn't do anything. They were just there having a wedding. They're all trying to share experiences, and an extremely powerful light ship came down and landed there and basically gave an instruction to everyone in the world that you aren't going to touch this spot. This is an immigration of light spot. And now there has been this battle over honoring the being that came down and shared wisdom with those people of that time versus passing on to the ancestors the responsibility that frequency of light is not to be changed, harmed, or abused, because it's an anchored time frequency that's closing rifts.
I almost want to get out of here so bad. Maybe I need to look at what I can do here to this swamp and lake for it in a good way.
Yes, I think being a modern Bayou shaman, brewing beer and alcohol and other things too, wine also, with, when you brew, let's say your first batch you brew, you're going to intend, I'm going to want to drink some of it. I'm going to want to celebrate to it. But the next batch you brew is strictly for spirit.
Okay.
And it has a distinct purpose that's labeled on it, because it has a limitless battery of energy in it once you create it that way. And the older it gets, the more potent it gets.
Interesting.
Okay? And there are certain bottles that you'll create that may even have consciousness within it. Because it starts as a yeast, and if you impress into the yeast its purpose, it will know its purpose. Especially if you put the love for the swamp in it, a love for the change. It will be love that creates that consciousness that becomes a part of that awareness device that you're creating, or transmutation device, or vessel, or elixir, whatever you want to call it.
Be nice to have a little control or more interaction with these what do you call them? Dimensional rifts and portals and all these things. I guess, above anyone in this area that obviously is not aware of it is, just I don't know.
There are a lot of people that are aware of what it is, but many of them have gone down the gray path and have confused what true gray versus light and dark is. They become colorblind because the rifts have affected them so much, and so much demonic energy has affected them in previous lifetimes. Okay?
Is there...
that hurricane...
Yeah.
That hurricane came there on purpose to clear out the negative shit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I felt the clearing of energy after that.
Right.
See, I don't think anybody else does, but,
Huge clearing. Souls that had been stuck there are gone.
Yeah.
So yeast is the key. Now you can start with, brewer's yeast, whatever yeast you want to do. If it tastes nasty to you, it's probably pretty potent.
Okay. All right.
Okay? So you're not brewing it for the alcohol connoisseur at all.
Right. Okay.
So be willing to break the brewery rules so that there is way more yeast than it may need. Okay?
Okay.
Again, you're brewing it for a different purpose.
Right.
It may taste, but the key is you got to get the skill to get the alcohol volume up. And it's knowing your yeast that will ultimately determine alcohol volume. Because there is a way to brew beer at 26% alcohol by volume.
Jesus.
Now, the highest beer I ever did was 17% alcohol by volume. And 5 tablespoons enough was to get me tipsy and going, whoa!
Jesus.
Right? And let me tell you, that was the most kick-ass anti-entity bottle that I have ever created. I could just stick it into a spray bottle and mist it over people, and the entities would just leap out of their frequency. It's, alien blood acid being sprayed on them.
That's kick-ass. I like that. That's good stuff, man.
So, learning home distillery. You've got the beer kit. Do it just to do it. And what are you imprinting into it? Inspiration. Inspiration, abundance and wealth. And drink a little bit of it and save it for when you need another inspiration shot in the arm.
All right.
And then, gather a little fundage or see what it takes. You might be able to distill at your home.
Okay.
You might have enough stuff, because there are people that have, that don't go to the alcohol shops. They brew it all at home. They don't let it age at all. I mean, heck, the people in the prison figure out how to make alcohol.
Yeah, right. Jeez.
Right.
In their toilets.
Right.
that easy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, all right. Well, it just takes practice.
Okay.
I get it.
And then it's going to come time for you to make your backwoods still. And that's where you're just accepting yourself as that form of shaman until such a time where you're ready to, take it to a front still, where you're going to do it in your house.
Yeah.
Or you may have one small still one place because it produces a specific kind of energy. And man, there's this other place that's in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to go put a second still there because its energy is totally different.
Yeah. But I guess I should stay away from the bubbles and the swamp and not try to release that energy, huh?
Well, you can make bottles of alcohol that all you have to do is throw the bottle into there and it'll do that.
Ah, okay.
Or if it's really powerful alcohol, just pour it on the surface and light it on fire.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Fire is the great transmuter, and you are putting fire into alcohol. Fire, water.
Very interesting. There's a lot of potential there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you digging deep, man, and taking a look for me.
You wanted a shot in the arm? There's your shot in the arm.
All right.
Okay. In 2 hours of studying on YouTube, you could figure out how to make a home distillery.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Caller? Hey, Ron, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Hey, you figured out how to use Skype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to, get you at it, and it just wouldn't at it. I apologize for that.
It's good. It's all good. I actually see that people on new Skype doing that all the time. It's like a kind of funny, actually.
There's no way to delete. You get this list, and you want to delete people back out, and there's no delete. No answer for it. It's just crazy.
Well, there is. It's called leave conversation.
Yeah. Wow.
You're good now.
Thank you. I have a question about, and it keeps haunting me, what my past was, where I came from, that sort of thing. And it's like the same thing that's always haunted me is what is really true going on here, and I've thought that for my whole life. It's like this reality. Why would somebody create this world like this? I just didn't understand it. It's because it's so negative and everything breaks down, But I guess my real question is, where'd I come from, that sort of thing. So.
Okay. Well, what I need you to do is to tell me your first 10 seconds of your day. Be as detailed as you can, but come back to it into 40 seconds.
Okay. Got up, went to the bathroom. Got up, started drinking a cup of coffee, went to the bathroom, went downstairs, got another cup of coffee, came into my office.
All right, I've tuned into you.
Okay.
All right, as I look deep into your energies, I'm right away drawn to a very primal world that's in the Andromeda Galaxy. It's called the Nush Ala Hoch Na Nishmopeok. It's a tree world where everything that is there is a plant species, and they're all sentient. All their roots create and interact and create a hive mind. And that is your home world. You came from a place where everybody shared all of their thoughts in a communal garden of life. And you nurtured each spirit that came there because it was a refugee world for souls that experienced the school of hard knocks on Earth and didn't pass and needed to go down a level or a grade before they could come back here and determine what it was they weren't succeeding in. So it was a place where souls could go, and that's where you truly started as a soul, a healing person, where that world didn't have two-legged life or four-legged life. It just had insectual life that would create and co-create with the trees that live there, or the various plants that live there in a community. So you're very much attached to that energy, and its energy is nurturing you now, and it's asking you to understand that the very trees that are around you now can be created into healing objects, ceremonial healing objects for you, so you can understand the various lives that you live here. They're really saying that if you connect to the trees and understand that you can create things with this wood, you'll be able to create medicine bundles. And these medicine bundles will be links to the spirit world of your old home world, coming back to you now through the roots of the trees, communicating with you the great message of love from this hive world of trees. So it's right now communicating to you in the very home that you're in now. Is this making sense to you?
Oh yeah, I got trees all around me. I got 20 acres of timber.
Okay. You're a craftsman with a saw?
Yep, I'm a carpenter.
All right. So it's really asking you to make some objects, ceremonial objects that represent the links to your spirit world, and that much like a totem, a pole, you'll create these items and implant them onto your 20 acres, and then you'll hike to them at various times of the year, reminding yourself why you created these items. These items will gather power, and as the power is gathered, you'll truly understand why this land has asked you to be there in the now. Because there's a great spark of wisdom that's going to come from the trees and literally rewire your spine from your tailbone to your crown chakra. It's as if suddenly a crystal prism is going to start in your tailbone and go up your spine and out your crown. And then there's going to be this rainbow motion of energy coming in and out of your spine. And that will be the connection to the tree people and the forest that live around you. And now there's thousands and thousands and thousands of trees. So it's like you being reconnected to the hive of Earth's tree mind. You'll be able to travel consciously through the roots and get to another tree and use your third eye to experience what the trees experience. So it's a great time of awakening for you, but the key is to physically use your hands to create these objects that will collect power, and then when you go to these various objects after they're implanted into the ground, you will then be using them as a spiritual battery to create and co-create the next level of your spiritual development, which will be taking the seeds of trees, planting them into a nursery type environment, and then planting them in other parts of the area. And by doing that, you'll be a part of the food chain that doesn't consume food, but puts trees back into the world, allowing other spirits from your home world to have a few weeks, months, or years in this planet before we go through the change. You are literally giving spirits from your old home world the opportunity to experience here in a protected form by the shaman that's you, so that they won't be harmed while they experience the change.
Wow. That's kind of right down the line. I've had this image of the trees that I need to cut down, taking the stumps and make them into like animals, carvings.
Yep.
So when you go through the place, instead of having a stump, you would have this animal out of the stump,
Yep. You already have the skills to do it. It's just a matter of, do you have the vision to create more than one?
Yeah. And the other is I have a bunch of baby trees that are starting that I need to transplant to different locations so they can grow up, and have plenty of room and stuff. That's the other thing that's, I've been doing work to get to that point to go do that, But wow.
just know as you start to make more seedlings, you are literally allowing yourself to be the love channel from Earth's central core heart in your old home planet's core heart, to allow very young souls to experience Earth in a protected manner so they're not taken by the forces of domination and control. These objects you create will be protection devices for them. Any other questions?
So that planet I came from was in what constellation?
The Andromeda Galaxy.
Andromeda, okay.
So you're very much, you've had lives on Andromeda, the Pleiades, Nashtar, Lyra, but your home world is where you come back to recharge your soul, because you're a nurturer of the young souls. That's your purpose, to nurture the young souls. And then after the change, you're going to do this on a bigger scale, where you're going to be able to find those young souls that were tree spirits that are all of a sudden finding themselves in the new bodies of humans that didn't survive the change, because there's going to be a mass amount of walk-in spirits as other spirits walk out, because they're here just for the change. And when they're done, they're going to walk out, and they are soul contracted to have somebody else walk in who's already experienced the change in another level, but are here to be knowledgeable here in healing spirits. And you're going to be able to identify those new walk-ins by their type of tree species that's inside them. You're just going to recognize, oh, you're a fern tree now that's now a human. You are a great, something else, that you're going to recognize these tree spirit people now in the two-legged form. A lot to take in, huh?
It's good. It's all good. I'm just waiting for that event to happen.
It's got a ways to go. We're not out marching in the streets yet. Until you see that happening, it's everybody's got to take care of their own and continue to find love without strings attached to it.
That marching in the streets, I think a lot of that, of course, the Vietnam War was going on there then, and the TVs were showing, shooting and stuff every night, and everybody was being killed coming back. And I think I was around 19. I just got drafted, and but the thing that saved me from going to Vietnam was I was in a carpenter apprentice program, and I could file for an occupational deferment, and that was the last year they gave those. So, but to get in the streets, we need the music to drive the young people. And that's what happened back then. If you recall, was Woodstock and all that was going on, but the music was driving the people.
Yep.
So I think we need that, or some big event that really pisses people off, They seem to be like in a daze,
That's from the technology. I only got about a minute left before my next, before my break is coming up. 970, are you there?
Thank you.
Yes, I am.
Hey, can you hold on? We've got a break coming up, and I can take you at the top of the hour at the break. So, yeah, Ron, is there last thoughts? Anything that you'd like to say about this reading I gave for you?
It was just great. I mean, all those things that I keep thinking about doing, I'm walking around like I've always walked up on my property through the trees to release tension, and I always come back relaxed, So, that was great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Your name and where you're calling from?
Hey, my name's Greg. I'm calling from Wisconsin.
Hi, Greg from Wisconsin. How can I help you today?
I'd love a reading.
Okay. How'd you hear about the show?
I heard you on I listened to Freedom Radio a lot. I heard you on a roundtable a while back, and I really am fascinated and appreciate the information that you share with us.
Oh, thank you very much. So you kind of understand how readings work, or have you heard me do readings before?
I listened to, I believe it was yesterday's show where you had 3 guys call in and for readings, and it was fascinating. I listened to the entire program. I couldn't stop listening. I actually listen to you when I go to bed at night in the archives, and stayed up way too late listening to the show because I just couldn't put it down.
Well, thanks a lot. So the way this works is you need to tell me what you did for your first 10 minutes of the day, compact it into 40 seconds, and be as detailed as possible when you get that point of where you rub your eyes and get out of bed. The more accurate you are with that, the more deeper I can get it right into your dream reading. So go ahead and do that out loud.
Well, I just got up. I've only been up for about 10 minutes when I dialed your number. Got up, did my daily routine. My dog, Rafa, sleeps with me, so I let him know that I was really looking forward to studying today with him and how much I appreciate him being in my life.
I've tuned into your energy already. You wear your energy on your cuff.
Okay.
The first thing that I sense from you is there's been a long journey that's come to an end. But on that journey, you broke your foot, and you had to mend it and stop this is the metaphorical. On the way, you stopped and broke your foot, and you had to meet a series of people. And those people were helping you find something. And that ultimately is about the vision quest that's in your heart now. There is a spirit bundle that's been laid upon your side where you sleep. The spirit bundle is by the spirits that come to visit you. Inside that bundle is a piece of corn seeds, like ancient corn seeds, like the brown seeds. And next to that are some beans that have been dried and some squash seeds. So it's saying that there is an ancient medicine gardener within you. There is also a piece of oak bark, and there is a piece of pine bark. So what this is represented is the person that was before you was connected to the ways of the plant shaman, the tree shaman, who would speak to the trees and understand their words. The very vision quest of your heart right now is to seek the nature of Mother Earth so you may understand her wisdom and her volume. But ultimately it's about standing with the trees and letting yourself sway in the natural ways of the wind. Right now the roots of you go deep, but they are not tapping upon the earth energies. They are only tapping upon the surface energies. You have not allowed your roots to go below the crust area into the deep heart of Earth Mother, into the lowest part of her body. That is ultimately the quest of your current vision, is to get deeper and deeper and deeper connected to that of the earth. So you understand the roots of your life, so you may give back to the whole of nature. But here, now, in the present, your very blood is not of that of the earth. You are literally representative of the Alcyon system of Pleiades. You came here to be a tree healer. And I say that specifically as trees are very, very rare in this galaxy. And Earth is a big producer of trees. In many previous lifetimes, you would come here and find trees and ask them if they wish to come to other planets. That is the type of magic or medicine that you brought when you were a foreigner to this world. After many trips here in a very long ago period, you decided to stay here. And as you stayed here, you got caught up into the trap of the incarnation grid and began to have your first year at the School of Hard Knocks of planet Earth. As the School of Hard Knocks got over and over each lifetime, you got a less and less and less connection to the earth until finally all that was left was the blood of the Pleiades person that was flowing through you and the original connection to the concept of the roots and givings of a tree and forest. As I look deeper into your blood, I understand that at some point you were a part of the ocean, a type of creature that was there, and that is when you began to understand the very lifeblood of Earth. And that is the concept Earth is trying to help you understand in your current vision quest. Is to that the trees themselves, the very nectar that they bring within them so that they may have their spring buds and make their leaves, and the flowers may make plants may make their flowers. There is a true essence, and that essence is the true blood of Earth Mother. And that is what you should be connecting to in this current level of spring. There are little plants that are budding out of the ground. That is where you should go and sit next to them and feel their energy if they're budding out of the ground. So you too may take upon the spring energy, so you may send your roots deep down inside and get the very essence of this earth blood energy that's coming through you. Is this starting to make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely. I've always, trees have always been very important to me. I didn't know why, certainly to the depth of the level that you're speaking to. But the place that I live in, the windows that I look out for my place, it's just trees. Trees have always been really important to my quality of life, and water has as well. We've got a lot of both around where I live.
Okay. What I'm really sensing you is Earth Mother really wants you to deeply meditate next to the trees and the spring flowers so that you learn to create that your root chakra acts like a deep root system, so it goes as deep as the tap roots as the tall trees. And that is something, a meditative practice you'll get by standing next to the trees and meditating or sitting next to them. And then to learn that process, you'll go and find plants that you'll sit next to so you understand the shallow root system. So right now, it's really about you understanding the type of energetic roots that you have around you and what these teachers are trying to teach you. Because right now, every night you go to sleep, you're in a vision quest. Your higher spirit is looking for these teacher spirits who will come and knock on your physical door, so the physical you has is a physical experience. But right now, you aren't prepared for a physical experience because there's not enough of the Earth Mother blood sucked into the roots of your body. Right now, you're really draining your water energy to deal with the set of people that you've been dealing with for quite some time. I refer to these people as energy thieves. They're not vampires, but they are people that will disregard your sacred space and come in and couch surf in your sacred space and really disrespect you at times, even though they do repay you with love. You familiar who I'm talking with?
Yeah, I do. Definitely. I do, yeah. I feel like I'm fighting with the folks around me as opposed to, really getting along with them. It feels like it's a struggle on a daily basis. And I feel like my energy is being sapped from me in these interactions that I have, these sort of negative interactions that I have with the folks around me.
Okay. These particular people, just so you know, they're actually soul contracted to be in this area. Okay. They have very similar contracts to you, but they are nowhere near as awakened as you right now, and they've had much harder lives. The School of Hard Knocks has really sent them back a grade or two. And you're at this stage where I'll describe it like this. You've graduated high school, you're in the college, and you're in your second semester of your second year. So what you plan now for your fourth year graduation is vitally important to the very essence of you now. So this is the time where you determine the type of shaman you're going to be, the future shaman. This is where you lay your physical roots. This is where you lay your foundation of magical education. This is where you reach out to teachers in books and in spirit and ask them to come and instruct you from your heart. This is where you make ceremonial items that say, I am a man of spirit. I am a man of earth. I am here to be of service to earth. I am here to be of service to the trees. I am here to nurture all people. So that is your personal dedication to this graduation process, is to make the ceremonial tools, to know that you've graduated your high school and you're upon your second year and second semester. For this vision quest to be complete, you will need a piece of white pine. The white pine is that of the peacemaker. There is a peace that needs to be made in your soul with the previous incarnations that had to deal with war here. You are not here to deal with war this lifetime, though its concept will constantly come around you and nag you, because it's the common thread among people now is the change, is because we've only learned war for the last 200,000 years, and we must learn the ways of the trees and the plants again. And then once as people take that concept into their very heart and begin to share the very foundations of man, people like you will once again be tree medicine speakers and plant medicine speakers, and will be able to act as ambassadors to the tree spirit world or the plant spirit world, so that all sentience is given its honor in Earth Mother's energies. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, I do. I feel like I just feel like I'm warring a lot with the folks around me, but I also have the side of me that really doesn't want to do that, wants to embrace, wants to be a peacemaker, but feels like I have to stand my ground. I have to stand up for myself, and that's where the conflicts come in. Right. So it's hard. It's hard.
You're right, and this is your challenge of your second year and second semester. This is a 10-credit course. This is your only class this year. Okay? And this isn't a pass-fail class. This is for you to understand that you have to find the heart space to forgive yourself for those actions. The physical object of the white pine will be your ceremonial representation that you are taking off the bonnet of war. You are no longer wearing the war crown, and that you are putting on the crown of the flowers and the trees, so that your crown chakra is now aligned to the way the forest comes together. For every tree in the forest finds its own natural balance and finds its own spot in the sun, and the forest retains its balance because each tree is respected. So it's time that you respect your crown chakra and bring that peaceful ceremonial object into your soul, into your space, and you begin to empower it. And as you do that, the more people that come around to challenge your very soul, to challenge you at war, will be here, and then you will be able to use that new crown chakra energy to bring peace to yourself so that you know you do not need to respond to them in war. You can respond to them with the voice of the plants, the teachings of the trees. And if they are rejecting the teaching of the trees and the plants and only want war, you know they are not repaying you with that blood of Earth Mother. And that's how you'll begin to recognize the kindred spirits that you're looking for.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you so much. Fantastic insight. I appreciate it.
Well, I have a question for you. Have you had a spiritual experience, an awakening in the last year?
A spiritual experience or awakening, specifically in the last year, not that I can think of. I've pretty much, been on this path for a while. I don't remember anything specifically in the past 12 months or so that would.
What about previously?
And by spiritual experience, what do you mean?
You had a dream that really was profoundly intelligent to you. You had a creepy experience where something said there was a spiritual world out there.
Not, you know what, Andrew, not that I can think of. My dreams are the dreams that I remember when I get up, and you talk about dream time a lot. But my dreams are really pretty dull. I don't really remember, when I get up, I don't really remember. It's very rare that I'll have a dream that isn't mundane.
The reason I ask that, you have spirits that are around you, and they have been communicating with you. And I'm trying to really intuit this vision quest to search for the plant and animal medicine. And I understand that it's soul contracted for you to do it this lifetime. But there's really something here that you need to physically start paying attention to. Not only are they knocking on the doors and putting their fingers on the chalkboard to try to get your attention, there are times pounding on your door and say, "Wake up!" So you need to literally make an object that you wear around your heart to remind you to communicate to them.
Okay, so I need to make something?
Yeah, like a little pouch you can wear around your neck, a little string on it.
That's close to my heart. That lays close to my heart. Yeah. That's interesting. I've actually had a quartz stone that I found on one of my I used to like to backpack a lot, and I had whatever stones I would find, interesting stones I'd find on the trail when I was backpacking, I'd pick up and I still have with me in my house. And there's been a particular quartz stone that that's right next to my bed. And when I'm feeling toxic from my interactions with the world, I actually put it to my heart and try to think detoxifying thoughts to get the bad feelings and toxicity out of my body.
All right. Instead of the term detoxing, replace that term with allowing Earth Mother's blood into you.
Okay.
You are a part of her blood. You're a part of her species, and that blood is love, and that is the concept you should be bringing to your heart. I also said you need to find a piece of white pine. And it may be difficult for you. There are other peace objects out there that you can do, but I would really recommend that you find a piece of white pine. And what you're going to do is you're going to understand that piece of white pine is the thing that you will use to clear your crown chakra of the war energies. You'll rub your head with it. You'll keep it in the air around you to understand that literally it's interacting with the very energies of your crown. And then you're going to break off little pieces of it and put it in your pouch. And then you're going to put that piece of white pine somewhere where it won't rot and it'll stay well preserved. And then as you need more peace in your life, you'll break another piece off of it, another piece off of it, and offer it to the war spirits that are constantly coming around you. So if you know that somebody's really aggressive that's going to come over to your house, you put a piece of white pine out by the front door, a little piece. And that is to represent that you are the peacemaker here and you're not to be at war.
Okay. And so this patch that I wear around my neck, should that have white pine in it?
When you find it, yes. You can start with crystals and other pieces of stuff that remind you to connect to the trees and the plants.
Okay. And is that crystal, that quartz stone that I mentioned a moment ago, is that still okay to?
Yeah, that's fine. But sit and meditate with it. You may want to allow it to sit in the sun. If you see little things popping up out of the ground, spring seedlings, put it next to it for a few hours so it gets that energy. Because that's truly what you need right now is the concept of how these plants come out of the ground every spring and grow their roots deeper and bring up that very life essence of Earth.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Call in again next week. Tell me how things are going.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right. The energy of the burden basket now comes. The burdens of life that we have. The very burdens that we give ourselves via soul contract, the very essence of the weight of our soul that prevents us to heal. So I'm asking everybody today is to empty your burden basket, to go out into the sun and raise your hands and be like the trees. Let your mind go up and let the sun feed you, and let your crown chakra bloom like a flower, and begin that process of bringing that energy into you and down into your feet, into the roots of like a plant. Because deep inside, you will ultimately understand the very burdens that you have that prevents you from letting the sunlight energy and naturally recharging you. The way of the concrete jungle right now is preventing man from connecting to the sun in that method. But anybody can connect to the sun if they should choose to, because we were a sun-worshipping species in the very beginning. At that beginning time, it was the sun that brought Earth its message, its light, its wisdom, its love. And to know and understand that Earth has had many other suns in its solar system. And there are other suns that we could connect to, and they are our soul family.
All right, so this is kind of a really long question. What is it going on with these courts of equity? I am witnessing in the visitations I keep having in the ancestors from spiritual courts of equity. I basically discovered there are multiple courts of equity. I've noticed multiple different overlaying types of ancestral, celestial, royal, terrestrial, elemental, different kinds of earthly cosmic beings visiting and are welcoming their courts of universal equity. What are all these spiritual equities for? So you may find remedy and resolve. You aren't going to find instant remedy and resolve in a single spiritual court of equity. Each court of equity may have a different versions of soul families, more witnesses in it. Each is an aspect of contact and communication with you, so a part of your awareness of the volume and size of beings that are working with you through these spiritual courts of equity. And the more aware you come with them is where you can create the injunction power, the ability to say no, break contracts, vows, and agreements, summon other soul family members who are having the same problem with the same forced evolutionary system. So, Eric, there's the answer to that question. It is revealing more and more to you the layers of the unseen world that's working with you.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.